Good afternoon, I'm Sam Crannell, and today we're going to be making some homemade sausage. You can make this with any type of meat that you like. If you want to use ground chicken, ground turkey, ground pork, ground beef. Today I'm actually going to be using ground venison, and let's go ahead and get our spice mix together. So I've got a coffee grinder here, and I've got an array of different seasonings, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start with our fennel seed. This has been toasted, and I've got 1 tablespoon each of toasted fennel seeds, 1 tablespoon of toasted melange peppercorn. We've got 1 tablespoon of dried oregano. I've got 1.5 tablespoons of salt, kosher salt, 1/2 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1/2 tablespoon of sugar, and 1/2 tablespoon of dried chili flake. Now, the kicker in this is going to be about 2 tablespoons of dried porcini, and that's going to add a really big, rich flavor in our sausage. So let's go ahead and grind it up. And we want to grind it until it gets into a nice powdery form. We should just about be there. Looks good to me. This is what I got going on. All right, so I've got my mixer here, and inside I've already got 1 pound of ground venison, and I'm going to go ahead and add our dried spices to this mix. Go ahead and lock it down. We're just going to paddle this just till it comes together. And while that's happening, I'm going to add a small amount of warm water. So we're going to go with probably right here about 2 ounces. Two ounces of water right in. And we're going to kind of whip this until it gets sticky. That's going to help hydrate all of those spices. And we want to whip it until it starts to get nice and tacky. And that looks like it right there. So I've got the incorporation here of all of my dried spices and all of this beautiful ground venison. So this recipe is for 1 pound of ground meat. This is what it looks like once it's all said and done. All right, now that we've made the sausage, we have a couple choices that we can make. You can take that sausage and you can patty it up, and you can serve that with breakfast if you like. You can serve it as a dinner. You can turn it into a meatloaf, or you can do what I'm about to do, and we're going to go ahead and make a really nice, nice Italian ragu here that is going to go with some handmade cavatelli tonight. So first up, I'm going to take my sausage here. It's all ready to go. We've let it sit for just about 20 minutes. And I've got some extra virgin olive oil that's going to go into the pan. You want to get a good amount of extra virgin olive oil in here because we really want to fry this sausage off and get some nice color on it. There it goes into the pan. And once again, this recipe for sausage, you can use chicken, you can use turkey, you can use ground rabbit. I chose venison because I've got a freezer full of it thanks to my dad. He lives up in Michigan, and he shot this buck and brought it down to me. So we've got lots of different venison recipes that we're going to be trying off. Now the goal here is to get as much caramelization on this meat as we possibly can. Now there's not a lot of fat So this is actually relatively healthy, but we do have all those dried spices in there, and they're, man, it's just coming out. The smell is just incredible. So we're gonna let this brown up. While that's browning, I've opened up a can of some beautiful San Marzano tomatoes. This is 1 pound, 12 ounces. So I've got that right there. I've also got 1 ounce of red wine vinegar and 1 ounce of red wine that we're gonna deglaze with. And that's all that's gonna go into this ragu. It's very, very simple, but very, very flavorful. So as you can see, we're starting to get some browning on this meat. Our venison sausage here is continuing to cook. We're getting some really good caramelization here on that, and that's exactly what we're going for. The more caramelization that we can get, the better the flavor of this overall dish is going to end up being. On the bottom here, you see that there's some fond that's starting to accumulate, and that's what we're going to want to get off with the deglaze here of red wine and red wine vinegar, an ounce each. We're going to put that in there. Give it a little scrape here. Get that fond to pop off. And that reduces really, really quick. So from there, we're going to take and we're just going to add in our tomatoes. And these are whole. I'm going to use a little bit of water to get the rest of the tomato out of the can. I'm going to push down on the tomatoes. We want them to still be chunky. We want this to be kind of like a really nice little chunky ragu, not too refined, really rustic, and that's really what we're going after. So this fills my pan almost all the way up to the top, and we're going to let this slowly simmer for about an hour. I'm going to add one more ingredient, and I bet you can guess almost what that's going to be. Bay leaf. Let me grab one of those out of here. And this will just add just that nice little note of eucalyptus. And so this will just go on low for about 1 hour. And when we come back, we're going to go ahead and get some cavatelli working, a little bit of fresh basil, and some really good Parmigiano Reggiano, and we'll be eating dinner in no time. So our sauce has been on the stove here for just over an hour, and it is reduced down to a really, really nice consistency here. We're going to go ahead and start finishing that and get our cavatelli going. First things first, I'm going to get my cavatelli working here in some salted boiling water. This is cavatelli that we made here. If you want, you can use it, fresh out of a bag. If you want to use penne pasta here, you can use that. If you want to use rigatoni, you can use rigatoni. Whatever your favorite pasta shape is, go ahead and use that. Alright, so this is going to take about 4.5 to 5 minutes for that to cook all the way through. And what we're going to do here to finish is I've got a knob of butter, and that's going to go directly in, and we're also going to use a small splash of heavy cream just to gild the lily a little bit. I also have some basil that I'm just going to tear apart here with my fingers and just add that into this. So there's nice big punchy pops of basil in this as well. We'll go ahead and mix that all in. Now the reason why I added butter and the reason why I added cream is because it helps to round out a lot of the really sharp flavors in this sausage. It also just adds a big fatty richness, and when you're using a really lean meat such as venison or rabbit or turkey or chicken, there's not a lot of fat going on. It's not like pork that has its own fat. Now, if I was making this with, ground pork, I probably wouldn't have added the cream. I just would have added a little bit of butter to help round out all those beautiful notes. This smells absolutely amazing. The fennel's coming through. I can smell the little bit of that pepper and that beautiful crushed red pepper. Right now, that basil's just hitting up. And the smell of that venison, so sweet and absolutely earthy. And, even more so, that porcini is starting to come through. Let's just go ahead and give it a quick taste and make sure that we've got our seasoning on here. Oh, that is just bomb. So I'm going to wait for my cavatelli to go ahead and finish cooking. And when that's done, we're going to come back and put this all together, get it on a plate, and have dinner ready to go. All right, so my pasta here is ready to go, and I'm going to go ahead and take that out. I'm going to dump off almost all of this water, not all of it. I'm going to leave a small amount. See, just right about there, just like about a quarter cup in there. I'm going to add my cavatelli back to this. I'm going to turn the heat all the way off. And I'm just going to take a small amount here of this ragu and get that coated on all of these noodles here. And let that all just kind of come together. The other thing I really like to do here is take some of our Parmesan cheese and get that working in here with our noodles as well. Almost time for a new one. And I'm putting this in here, and this is all going to kind of emulsify together and give us another rich, creamy layer of flavor and texture. You can see I got my cheese in there. Just mix it all around. Our cavatelli looks fantastic. It's nice and glazed. So from here, I'm going to take it, pop it right down into a bowl. Doesn't that just look wonderful? Nice big portions of pasta. I'll finish that with some of this really rich ragu on top, just like so. There's enough ragu in this recipe for 4 people, and that's definitely enough pasta for 4 people as well, but it's going to be for 2 tonight. A little bit more of this Parmesan right on top. And there you have it. Homemade cavatelli, homemade venison sausage turned into a quick ragu. A little bit of Parmigiano Reggiano. We got some cream in there, a little bit of butter, and some basil. Doesn't that just look delicious? It's smelling fantastic. So from my kitchen to yours, keep cooking with me, and I can't wait to see you next time.